You've launched a bunch of ads into an ad set and only a few of them are actually getting spent. So what should you do? Well, you really have 4 options. And in this video, we'll break it down. Here's an example. Here's a real ad set. Here's 4 different ads, 2 ads getting no spend. So what would I actually do in this instance? Well, the first option that you have, it's arguably one of the best options, is to go and do nothing. Now, the reason why this is a good option is because Meta isn't giving these ads spend for a reason. Meta distributes spend very effectively to those ads that are driving the best result. So these ads were likely tested with a little bit of spend. The preliminary results weren't there. That gives Meta an indication that it should go and distribute more spend, and so it doesn't do it. And that's why these ads probably shouldn't have any spend in them. But I understand that you're probably sitting there going, oh, but I spent $2,000 on shooting these ads. I want some spend in it. I want to know if they're performing well. And fair enough. That's why we have more options. Option number 2 is that you can go and duplicate the ad. Now, there's a few different options here. You could just duplicate it directly in this ad set or campaign. Don't recommend doing that. It's probably going to do nothing. You could instead duplicate it out into its own campaign or its own ad set. And that way you're forcing spend through these ads to try to test if they're working well. Now, I don't recommend that at all because there's a better option these days, which leads into number 3. What is number 3? It is the creative testing tool. Now, unfortunately, this is only available on like 50% of ad accounts right now, so you might not even be able to do this. Hopefully you can. And you can go in and you can click set up a test on an existing running ad set. You can select up to 5 different ads, and then you can select minimum spends through those ads. And so you're effectively doing the same thing as launching your own ad set where you're forcing spend to it, but you can do it in the existing ad set, which is a lot more helpful for retaining learnings. It's a lot more helpful for not going and messing with the structure. And it does it in a controlled way. Now, once again, is this at the top of our priority list as to something that we do? No. And the reason being is that, once again, I can almost guarantee that if we go and try to put spend through these ads, they just won't perform well because Meta's not spending on them for a reason. These ads perform better. Now, there is a caveat here that's really important to understand, particularly if you're monitoring accounts over time, which is that as we look at this ad set over the course of the next, let's say, 6 months, what will happen is these ads at the top here will stop hitting results, okay? It'll stop getting the results that we're after. And then what will happen is Meta will then start distributing spend into these 2 ads to see if they can get better results now that these ones are fatigued. And so we're effectively looking at what can drive the highest ROI over time, and these might flip in terms of expected value. And so right now, Meta might be expecting, let's say, a 1 ROAS out of these ads, and these are at a 2, so all the spend's obviously going there. But at some point in the future, these will fatigue, they'll come down, maybe they hit a 0.9, and then Meta flips and now prioritizes the ads that are going to get us a 1. I see that a lot, particularly in very expensive CPA accounts where ads will do very well, then they fatigue, particularly when you're hitting a very small TAM, and then spend will just go and distribute into the other ads that are hitting a cost per result that was slightly less than what these ones were, but it's still pretty good and we can keep the ad set on. That is ultimately the importance of keeping ads switched on in an ad set. So in this instance, what a lot of people do, which is a massive mistake, is they just come in here and turn these ads off. Don't do that. Because number 1, if these ads were getting a little bit of spend, they might have been playing a role in the sequence to actually convert the user. They're not here, spend's very low. But number 2 is that when these fatigue, these might actually be able to pick up the slack and give a little bit more longevity to the ad set or the campaign. So keep them on. We still have one more option, which is option number 4, which is the best of all the options, which is to go and put new creative into the account. Now, ideally, this is diverse creative. This is nothing like what we launched here. We're not doing slight hook variations. We already have a couple hook variations. Okay, we want brand new creative, and we want to go and launch it in this campaign if it's an Advantage Plus campaign. If you're running an ABO structure or a CBO with ad sets at a testing level, I wouldn't recommend just throwing it in here. It's going to mess with the learnings, spend distribution a little bit. So obviously, depending on your structure, changes how you go and launch that new creative. But ultimately, these are your 4 options. Anytime you're thinking through this problem, which is a problem that everyone has all the time. Number 1, you can do nothing. Often doing nothing is actually the best thing that you can do because you can just start to destroy performance if you try to do too much. Number 2 is you can duplicate it. I wouldn't recommend this at all to anyone these days. Some people are going to have to be left with this option because they don't have creative testing, which is the better option. maybe reach out to your meta rep, see if you can get creative testing enabled on your account. And then lastly, we have new creative. Ultimately, if I was to rank these, this is number 1, this is number 2, and then over here, this is number 3. And so I would start with new creative. If you can't do that for whatever reason, then do nothing. If you can't do that for whatever reason, you really want to get spend through these ads because maybe you spent a bunch on them. You've got sunk cost fallacy, which is fair enough. I have sunk cost fallacy. I do that myself on my own ads. I spent thousands of dollars on these. I need to put spend behind them. Then you go and use the creative testing feature.